I'm waiting. There we go. Hello, everybody out there in this social media world. If you're catching me and you're watching this live, I want you to do me a favor. You're about to witness a awesome conversation with myself, Clyde Harden Jr., the local pastor slash bishop of the New Destiny Church in Cold Spring, Texas, and with some alumni of Cold Spring, some great, great educators, and also the acting superintendent in Cold Spring. So do me a favor while we're getting on live. Hey, do me a favor, drop some comments. Let me know you're here. Communicate with us, and we'll be watching those comments. But do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share. Let someone know about this conversation. You don't do not want them to miss out. So many times we are able to have loose conversation without proper information. Today we're gonna have proactive conversation with some very good, valid information in hand. So do me a favor once again, like, subscribe, and share. We're gonna get ready to get kicked on real quick. I'm gonna add each one of our speakers. For those who are jumping on right now, once again, if you're watching this live, what we're doing, we're having a live discussion about education of the condition of public education in Cold Spring, Texas. Even though it's local to Cold Spring, it transfers across multiple districts. So if you're watching and you're not from Cold Spring, just pay attention as well, because this topic does translate across all public sectors. So with that being said, I'm going to invite on, first of all, introduce to you Dr. Talton. I'm going to add him on real quick. Hey, Dr. Talton, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, sir.
All right, this is Dr. Talton. Just give you an opportunity I want give him the opportunity to introduce himself. He's a great, great, man. I've been working with him in tandem with the school district and the community for a few years. Dr. Talton, tell the community a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about Brian Talton. This is my fourth year to serve as the superintendent of Cold Spring Oakhurst CISD. Prior to becoming the superintendent of Cold Spring, I was the superintendent of Goodrich, which is not too far, obviously, from Cold Spring for 3 years. Prior to that, I was a junior high and high school principal, and also assistant superintendent in Hardin. Prior to that, I was pretty much in the Houston area, born and raised in Houston. Went to school in HISD. Began my teaching career in Fort Bend ISD. Also served as an administrator in Spring Branch ISD as well. So thank you for having me.
Wow.
For sure.
Amen. Well, we're glad to make that you made your way to Cold Spring, and I'll be honest with you, Dr. Talton, you've lasted longer than I thought. So many superintendents come in, and but I want to say thank you so much for the impact you're making into our district, and glad to have you in this discussion. More to come from Dr. Talton, but this time I'm going to bring in a native of Cold Spring, a alumni of Cold Spring, made a strong impact in Cold Spring. Now she's making a great name for Cold Spring, all the way in another local district. But I'm bringing on Dr. Latonya Goffney. Hey, Dr. Goffney, how you doing today?
How's it going, Bishop Harden? Good to see you, Dr. Talton.
Hey.
Doing well, doing well. Good to see you. And for those who have lived up under a rock for the last, umpteen years and didn't get a chance to get to know you, tell me a little about yourself, Dr. Goffney.
Listen, I am just a country girl. All of you know I'm from Cold Spring, Texas, born and raised, and that's why I'm so proud of the work that Dr. Talton is doing and Dr. Bishop Harden is doing in the community, because that is the community that started me and my trajectory. And so, long story short, I went from kindergarten to superintendent in Cold Spring, served there for 5 years. I tell you, I had an amazing time with amazing support. Dr. Talton, I know you know that just great people in Cold Spring. And before I even got to serve as superintendent, graduated the best class ever, class of 1995. We're about to celebrate 30 years, and I'm so excited. So we'll be calling on you, Dr. Talton, because we want to go big during homecoming week for
I got you covered. Got you covered.
Absolutely. But excited about education, because it really changed everybody who's on, everybody who's watching. Bishop Harden, education changed the trajectory of my life. So that's why this conversation is so important. I've been able to serve East Texas, Houston, Texas, all over. But my favorite service is the service that we get to do for my love, Cold Spring, Texas.
I tell you right now, before we get going, I left, went to the military, and I came back, and you were, actively just kicking butt and taking names in the education sector. And I want to tell you, this little boy from Cold Spring, Texas, looked up to you and look up to you, and just, man, I was just blown away and have been blown away at the things you have done. And every time I see a picture, or a post, or a video of the things you're doing, I'm like, she's the next Sheila Jackson Lee. God rest her soul. There's some great things out there.
From Cold Spring, Texas.
Go ahead, then, girl. Well, this next person, runs side by side with this young lady. I've known these young ladies for a long time, and have mad respect for both of them. And now she's a educator, and if I'm not mistaken, she has a doctor's degree as well. I want to bring up to you a woman I've worked side by side with in the community development in church, and then along as growing up, Miss Rhonda Dean
Dr.
Mason.
Rhonda
Come on, doctor. How
Mason,
you doing, Dr. Mason?
95.
I'm also, before you say something, 99 is in the house now. Come on now. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Well,
Dr.
thank you
Mason.
so much, Bishop Harden and Dr. Goffney, who I talk to daily, and Dr. Talton. I pray for you because you got my nieces and nephews and all my cousins, and I'm around them a little bit. I'm like, woo, Dr. Talton. But they looked good last night for prom. They all looked so
They did.
good.
Oh,
I was
wow,
proud of my hometown. But as Bishop Harden said, I am Trojan. I bleed red and white forever. Everything that I am is due to, of course, God, my mom, hard work, and
yes, beautiful, beautiful
Coldspring
soul.
ISD. Like that, I mean, my teachers, everyone. So I absolutely love education. I love this community. I've had the pleasure of serving as assistant principal, national consultant, executive director of schools, assistant superintendent, and now area superintendent. But one of my favorite things was coming home. And for 2 summers in a row, I did a math camp. On the month off that I had, I would do a math camp in Coldspring. And there's nothing like somebody walking in the room and you're like, are you a Harden? Is your daddy? Is your mom so-and-so? So that was the best. That was the best work ever. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
This is and we have one more joining. She's on the way. Another classmate of mine. I was hoping she was on to help me battle this 95 fever. But class of 99, Erica Birch, she's doing some great things in education. She's my classmate. We was in the top 10 together. Just a beautiful, beautiful soul. I'm just gotta throw it out there.
You just had to throw it out there.
But she's gonna be joining us here real soon. I think it's the magic, and that's why we're having this discussion, because public education has a magic to it, right? I never forget when I graduated from Coldspring, class of 1999. Did I say that already? Class of 1999. Some of the same people that educated me educated my father. Some of the same people that educated me educated you guys. I mean, you're talking about the Coach Bradford, you're talking about the Coach Bass, you're talking about the Linda Currys and the Coach Sewell and Chip Sewell and Elmores, Billy Green, God rest his soul. He recently was one of the soldiers, went home. And all of these people still look at the same age, but they were the trendsetters and the thread sowers in our souls of who we are. They have a piece of our DNA. And so I think it's such a valuable thing that we bring this topic of public education. So if you're just joining in, you're just chiming into this discussion, do me a favor. Don't just sit there and passively watch. I want you to actively watch. Now I'm doing my wife's job. She's the social media person, but she would tell me to tell you to actively watch, share, like, and subscribe. Let everyone know about this discussion that you're witnessing right now with, I believe, some of the most powerful educators in our area and abroad. So we're going to be talking about some things so this discussion is going to expand to give us a deeper understanding of the condition of our current education environment. So get your pen and paper, take notes. Feel free to put down topics and jot them down. But first, before we kick it all off, I got to talk to Dr. Talton. He's our local superintendent. I've watched him, actively matriculate throughout this community. He changed some of the things about our days of schools and trying to get the most out of bringing the proper educators into our community. And I've watched this happen. Dr. Talton, kind of give us a current condition of anyone want to know of our Coldspring School District and what's going on actively right now.
Gotcha. So I'll kind of give a brief little rundown I'll try to at least. Currently right now, our district serves a little bit over 1,600 students. About roughly 64% of those students are white. We have 16% African-American and 13.2% Hispanic. Currently in our district, obviously we have 4 campuses. We have James Shea Elementary serving students in grades pre-K through 2nd. Our intermediate campus serves students in grades 3 through 5, Lincoln Junior High 6 through 8, and then of course our high school campus grades 9 through 12. A couple of things, I'll just kind of go back to when I arrived in the district in 2021. That was my first year, 2021-22. Just a lot of things. I mean, there was a lot of things happening all at once. Obviously, the district, the board brought me into Coldspring Oakhurst CISD to really address some academic challenges that our district has been facing the last several years. So at the time when I arrived in the district, we were not even a district renovation. That means we don't have, I mean, there's lots of things that tie into district renovation. One of them was we have a flexible start date. One thing that I also noticed was that our district was having a spring break in April. April, we all know as educational leaders, is testing season. So you don't want to have any interruptions, or you try to alleviate those and not have any interruptions in that time, especially when you're having some academic challenges. Fast forward, I'll kind of go back to that year to start. We had 49 new teachers started that year. 49.
Wow, 49 new teachers.
49 new teachers. So I tell anybody this story. Anytime you have that many teachers in a district of our size that start, that means your district, your local education agency is destabilized when you have that many teachers in the district. You have such high turnover. The other piece, that following year, we had 40 new teachers. So that was 21, 22 my first year. So 22, 23, we had 40 new teachers. And then we started talking about the idea of possibly transitioning to a 4-day week, which we began in 23, 24. This is our second year. Obviously, this year, 24, 25 is our second year. Been very, very beneficial. It's been allowed us to really stabilize our district as far as staffing. We also have a lot more applicants than we get, more so than when we had in the past. So obviously that was a big change for the district. We had town hall meetings, we had surveys, visit with a lot of community stakeholders to really get input, buy-in. But really right now, this is year 2. And we really, from my standpoint, we haven't really had or seen any negative impact. Last year was our first year, as I mentioned, and the goal was to heighten teacher recruitment and retention. We also had our ADA, our student average daily attendance, went up as well. So that was a big piece. And then also we saw improvement in academic performance. Everything that we do as a district ties back to the quality of instruction in the classroom. And so when we started having original conversations about the 4-day week, I said, well, hey, if we have very high turnover in our district, or if we can't recruit and retain the best teachers, then we can have school for 7 days a week, and it won't necessarily have the impact that it will have with that high quality instructor. So those are some of the things. We also implemented new curriculum. When I first arrived in the district back in 2021, 22, it was teachers pay teachers. There was just no nucleus in terms of what teachers were using. It was just very, very wide open to what instructional materials and resources that teachers were using. So we vertical aligned, we implemented new curriculum, and make sure that, from my standpoint, also we implemented a ton of data tools. Like I monitor all of our data across the district. So anything that's data related as it pertains to instruction in classrooms, that funnels from my desk. I do have an assistant superintendent, Dr. Clammer. She's fantastic, but I lead the charge on that side of it, on the academic side. Trying to think what else. Really right now, also just trying to, at that year, make sure we have community engagement. That was a big piece. Obviously, those of you in the community, our trunk or treat is blown up every year. The whole community across the county comes out for that. We just had our spring festival. We added the Easter egg component to that this year. So the community came out for that. And then again, we'll have our back to school bash. This will be our second event for that this summer. Added some additional elements to the homecoming piece. I know Dr. Goffney and Dr. Mason and I will talk about that as far as what we want to do for you all.
30 years.
Right. Absolutely. But just know right now we've been talking about a bond. A lot of our facilities are very, very old. Of course, y'all know that. You had Street that opened in 1979, Intermediate Campus 1985. And then Lincoln, I believe somewhere in the mid 60s, somewhere there, if I'm not mistaken. So really right now it's just time for modernization. Something, obviously facilities, they matter. So it's just time. So we've been talking about that. So right now a recommendation was made at the last board meeting. So the board will discuss some additional things of right now trying to repurpose the Jones campus to serve students in grades 3 through 6.
Oh, wow.
And then move Street to where Intermediate is going to require an additional wing that's added to it just to help with overcrowding. And then also it alleviates overcrowding at the junior high campus as well. Junior high campus is near capacity. And then right now Street is currently at capacity as well. So that's been something that's been discussed. Also our gymnasiums across the district, need to be modernized as well. So that was a part of that discussion. Also, some new baseball, softball and baseball bleachers, and then also adding a locker room back over by the baseball, softball fields as well as addressing, if you go to the baseball, softball fields, there's like a gravel road that drives up, pretty much making that more of a concrete pave. That way, if somebody is, it really is an ADA compliance issue. If you have somebody that's wheelchair bound or in a wheelchair, obviously they can't navigate to get to the softball field. So those are just some of the things that were out there. It was discussed, obviously, the idea of adding turf to the fields. I just think that was something we decided to not do at this current moment. Y'all know how that can be.
Oh gosh, I still remember how intentional getting the feel right for Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
And so,
Billy Green Sewell, God rest his soul, Billy Green Sewell. I never forget
I
many years.
know.
Every time he actually would
pride in
paint
that field.
every strip down that field, and those people who put their blood, sweat, and tears in that field.
Yeah, but that was just really my initial spiel. Of course, as my brain is running right now, I'll discuss some additional things. But a lot of it is right now is when we start talking about these things is in my role is everything is really just serving our community as a whole, making sure our students have access to the best teachers. Also, just making sure we're constantly engaging the community, keeping them updated and informed of things that are happening across the district. That way, they can connect. We want to make sure that parents are well informed, and we want to make sure they're engaged partners across the district.
Well, I want to say thank you so much. You opened up a lot of things that that I'm glad you hit on. I've made some notes here just so I can reference them later, and I want to make sure I make note of, because I'm by no means is this a plight to push a bond, but I had a talk in a discussion with Dr. Talton, and I had a surprising, I guess, aha moment. Because when we think bond, we think taxes, and everyone always fight against bond because of taxes.
Yeah.
And and we think, well, first of all, education cannot be advanced and be funded very well away from certain taxes. But I found out San Diego County is one of the lowest tax districts. Kind of explain that for a second before we go on. That was an aha for me. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, from a tax standpoint, obviously, my role is working with the board to establish a budget, and they adopt a budget. Then you also have a tax rate that's adopted as well. But our tax rate in COCISD is the lowest tax rate amongst all neighboring school districts. That's Goodrich, that's Shepherd, that's Tarkenton, that's Cleveland, that's Splendora, that's Huntsville. And so that's on your M&O side. So then what happens is you don't necessarily have the budget even for some routine maintenance. But of course, as y'all know, you can build a mansion in 1985, right? That doesn't mean it's gonna. That doesn't mean you're not gonna have to modernize and up.
I think we lost him for a second. Are you still there? Are y'all still there?
He froze.
Okay, he froze.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you. You want to kind of pick up?
I'm glad to hear that the tax rates are low. I know I own 2 homes there, and so I'm excited about that, and just excited about what it means, considering the fact that he can get back on and he'll explain, but to still have a low tax rate and still be able to do some of the things to modernize the buildings, I think we all need to pay attention for. I know this is not the purpose of today, but I think it does go along with the conversation. So Dr. Talton, I was just saying, as a homeowner, 2 homes actually in Coldspring, and I pay taxes, I'm glad to hear how you've been good stewards, but still thinking about how you can modernize the buildings.
That is correct. And so at the same time, we're trying to repurpose the Jones. Obviously, you have a site that's there. And obviously, there's a lot of history, at that campus. You want to be able to preserve that. And so just think about how nice when people are kind of, rounding the curve there to go back towards the lake, a nice brand new campus is right there. I think that would be
beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't know if we got cut off there, but I kind of touched on a couple of things on the tax side of it. But we do have the lowest tax rate, overall tax rate, not only just on the M&O side of things, but also just overall tax rate period. Obviously, you have your M&O tax rate, and then your INS. That's really your debt service taxes. That's really pretty much paying off the existing bond that we currently the district currently is basically passed in 2017. So that's pretty much what we are.
I would say this here just because I am a local Trojan. I've been a Trojan my whole life. Went to other schools, but at the end of the day, I'm a Trojan. But I believe a lot of that, low tax rate is because of lack of some necessary advancements that we've needed over the years.
Yeah.
So I think that contributes to that. So I say to anyone listening, once again, we are sticking here a little longer, but I think it's necessary for this moment. We think about that when we think about your kids and the education and the tools and the things they need, your grandkids. Think about that. Is it worth fighting for an advancement if we're already not being taxed like other districts and we have room for growth? Why don't we expand? That's just a quick little plug. Not no, I'm trying to advocate for it, but I'm a parent and I'm a pastor, and I see the need for education advancements in our area.
Yeah.
So I want to
Um,
make note real quick. We go ahead, Dr. You got one thing you want to share?
Yeah, just one other thing I was going to mention as well. I think that the community needs to be mindful of as well. We do have growth coming to the county, so we just got
Yeah, talk about that. Let's
a
talk
mud
because
district.
I
A
want to
mud
kind of talk
district.
about that and segue that into you because some people think about growth and think about different ways, but think about it. Everyone who's on this call, if you are San City County, native, think about over on 1097,
Yeah.
and all the development on 1097. Think about all the development around the entire area, Montgomery County and Willis area. That's going to come to us. So kind of talk about that a little bit, Doctor.
Yeah, so we know right now there's a development on 1725 that we know we received the mud district establishment document probably a few months ago.
Wow.
That will be zoned to us. I mean, obviously on the document, it clearly states that we are the taxing jurisdiction. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we definitely are at a critical point to stay ahead of growth as well. Otherwise, like I said, as I mentioned earlier, Street Elementary and the junior high campuses are both at capacity right now as we speak. So that's just something to be mindful of as well, especially when we start talking about. Well, now we've been engaging and working with the facilities assessment committee for 2 years, almost 2 years come this fall. So there's lots of discussions that have been had, and also, as I mentioned, a recommendation was made at the um, uh, April board meeting.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, while y'all here, I want to do two things. I want to say thank you, Dr. Talton, for that. I guess I call it the current condition of Cold Spring School District. Thank you for the information. And like I said, y'all, we're going to talk about more of this in the future, but we need to show up to those school board meetings so we can hear about these, we can support these, give our insight on these, more to come on that. But I want to make sure I take the moment and introduce Ms. Sykes. I want to say, first of all, thank you for joining. I've been attacked. I've been overwhelmed by these 1999, alumni of Cold
Oh,
Spring.
1995.
I'm sorry,
95.
1995.
95, all the way
1995
live.
alumni. So I had to get another 1999 alumni on. Miss Sykes, would you like to introduce yourself and kind of tell the viewers who you are? And for those who are watching, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share. Share this conversation that we're having about some very important information. We haven't got there yet, so don't chime off yet. Hang in. We got some more topics coming in a moment. But Miss Sykes, kind of give them a little bit of your background and how we grew up together and graduated in one of the greatest classes.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, my name is Erica Sykes. I am a proud graduate of the class of 1999 from Cold Spring High School. I am also, my mom graduated from Cold Spring High School, a lot of my uncles. I grew up in the Maynard community. My dad pastored the church in the San Antonio County area for 36 years. So Cold Spring is dear to my heart. It's home for me. I'm a proud graduate, proud person being from that area. And I am who I am because of the education I received in Cold Spring.
Hey,
Very
thank you
grateful.
so much. My
Very
daughter
proud of my
now.
classmate, Clyde,
Thank you
and
so
all
much,
my
Miss
friends
Sykes.
here.
I'm so excited because my daughter is graduating next month. Matter of fact, she
Oh,
wanted me to remember next week. She's
congratulations.
graduating next week from Sam Houston University.
Beat 'em
She's
up,
definitely proud
cats.
back,
Speed them
and
up, cats.
she's going to be an educator. And so I'm really
Praise
proud
God.
of her. And she's definitely getting into this arena. And public education is gonna now finance her life. I've seen you all grow, develop, and so many different things. So I'm a local pastor. And me being a local pastor, I'm not just any local pastor. I'm a local pastor that care beyond our four walls. I think even like Dr. Talton, not Dr. Talton, but even Dr. Golfany, she's a local, parishioner in our community, and she cares beyond her walls. And not only do we care beyond our walls, I'm also aware beyond our walls, and maybe a bit too aware. And the reason why this conversation happened, for those who just chiming on, we having some discussion here about the local education, a conversation about Cold Springs, because I've been hearing some things over the last couple of years that's really concerned me. And a lot of, like many other people, I can bury my head in the sand and ignore it until it gets too close to home. And one thing I've been hearing a lot of in my minute mindset in education, this is why I had a phone call. I started calling all you all I said, let's get together because I started hearing about these vouchers, the voucher program. And I don't know if many of you heard about the voucher program. If you haven't heard about the voucher program, if you have heard about the voucher program, give me a number one in the screen. I like to see your engagement. Let me know you're there. I've heard about the voucher program. Let me know about the number one. I'm a coding guy at times, so if you haven't heard about the voucher program, put the number zero. The number zero. I mean, I have not heard anything about the voucher program. It gives me a good, senses of who's watching and how or where we are. But this voucher program, from my less than average knowledge on the topic, it concerned me because it has me to believe that a child with this voucher program approved would be able to leave the school district, a small public school district like Sentinel County, Coldspring District, I'm sorry, Coldspring School District, and r- go to a private school, and the funding that is now there, whether that child leaves or goes, will now leave with that child. And I'm understanding that we're already in a tight budgeted system already. If this happens to, like, say, 30% of our school district, my new thinking is that this could actually cripple our public education here in Cold Spring. So I brought these great educators. It's only one topic of a few other ones, but I brought these great educators on. I would love to hear your engagement. I mean, Dr. Talton, you did some great prolific description of Cold Spring School District. I like to hear also, and I want you to chime back in on the back end, but Dr. Goffney, you've been in the school district for a long time. You've been a superintendent here. Am I thinking erroneously when I'm thinking that something like this could cripple the local education in Cold Spring?
Listen, it's the one thing that probably has kept all superintendents and educators up at night because if you don't know, it has passed. Like it was one of the governor's main bills for this legislative
Wow. I
session.
did
Yeah.
not know this.
Yep.
I know we talked about this, but I did not know it was
Yeah. At
passed.
that time, it was just a discussion in the House and in the Senate, and the Senate, of course, sent theirs to the House immediately, and so it has passed.
So let me
And so,
pause for a second before you go. So everyone, if you don't know, I'm talking about a voucher program that was a figment of our, I won't say imagination, but it was only wishful thinking, but now it's a reality.
mhm.
So everything we talk about going forward is a reality. This voucher program is in place and it will affect us. And we don't know the totalness of it, but the ones on this call right now is more capable of giving us a realistic perspective than anyone else you talk to on the streets. Go ahead, Dr. Goffney.
So they've couched it and sold it as the impact would only be $1 billion and up to 100,000 students who could have access to it. But what it's going to mean is exactly what you said, that they said it's going to be parent choice, but in reality, it's the school's choice, because all of you know we have to take all. That's why I love public schools. I love the fact that my mom was 15 when she had me, and raised by my grandmother. My grandmother didn't want to deal with the school. You know, Rhonda, Big Mama, you go to school, you act right, you behave, and you listen to those teachers. And so for those students who, I didn't have a choice, so I had to go to Cold Spring, and I would have never thought about going and wearing blue. The irony of me wearing blue today is not lost. Rhonda, I never wore blue. And it's another topic for another day, but I didn't wear blue, Dr. Townsend, until I left. It had been gold. And I was like, man, I didn't own anything blue. But we didn't even think about going to another school because we were all in for Cold Spring. But what I love about Cold Spring schools and all other public schools is we educate all. I had a severe and profound special needs son, and I had a gifted daughter, and both of them were welcomed in the public school setting. We know that private schools and even charter schools to some extent, but we're talking about private schools right now, they can cherry pick, and they're not going to choose someone like my special needs son to come in and shatter their scores. They're going to choose the top kids. And so my worry about my community in Cold Spring, for sure, a few students is going to throw your whole ADA off, which is how we get paid. Going to throw your achievement off and accountability, which is how we get judged. And it's just going to throw everything off, because in the end, if they aren't successful, they're going to come right back to our public schools. But
Without the
meanwhile,
funding, but would they come back? The money,
the funding, they're still working that out in rules, and I'm sure Dr. Talton may be able to add more color to it, but they're working it out, and we'll see how it transpires. But in the other states in which this has happened, it has truly decimated some local school districts. And so it's so important that we get behind making sure that Cold Spring remains the best choice for the students who reside in Cold Spring, but also educating ourselves so that something like this doesn't happen again. Because Bishop Harden, before I toss it to back to Dr. Talton to talk about Coldspring specifically, what you don't realize, or maybe you do, is this didn't just start this legislative session. It started the last legislative session in 2019.
Wow.
When we did not get an increase to our basic allotment. We didn't get an increase of public school funding.
Hold up. So I want to slow down because
inflation, nothing.
I want to say this here. You say you didn't get an increase for your what again?
For public school funding, which is our basic allotment.
The basic allotment. So, I mean, what does this basic allotment goes to? Does this take care? Because we talked about taxes before, and now we're talking about basic allotment. How do they differ? Because I think that's something we need to discuss as the discussion go on. How is public education funded? I think that's something that even Dr. Mason and Dr. Erica, Miss Erica can chime in on. But I think these are some things that we don't understand as common community members. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I bring it like that.
Now, please jump in. But for every one child that walks in, the one little normal child, just one child, is $6,160. Am I right, Dr. Talton? $61.60. That's a basic child. Now, on top of that basic allotment, if they're bilingual, if they're special ed, if they're CTE, you get some weights added. So that's $6,160. So pre-2019, and y'all know inflation's up, cost of living's up, all that's up. It has not been increased since. And so there was a cry in 2019 increase, but because vouchers and ESAs did not pass, they held that money from us. So for the past few years, as we've been trying to recover from COVID and all the things, we've been underfunded because of the voucher bill. And perhaps, and I know we don't want to get political, but I'm talking about Coldspring politics. Literally, the governor ran pro-voucher candidates, and one of the strongest, not only public education supporters, but strong Christians lost from our county. He lost because they ran someone who was going to be able to make sure and deliver on this promise of private schools for billionaires' kids. Wow. For millionaires' kids, for those who can get into private schools. So that's one of the things that really bothers me. And so, but yes, vouchers have passed, ESAs have passed.
So I got to ask this question, Lady Erica or even Dr. Mason, jump in on here. With that money being held up, not being released by those in higher ups, what has been the impact on the schools? I want to hear that. What has been that impact?
Okay, so to her point, I just want to add to Dr. Goffney's point about 2019 or in the past with even 2021. Not only did we not receive funding, there was like a $30 billion surplus that year. So if any time to give someone something, that was the time. And so, I think there's an umbrella here around, and we never thought we would come to this, but are you pro-public education? Yes. And you can say I'm pro-public education and you can say I'm pro-teacher, but we all know from growing up how we grow up, you put your money where your mouth is. And so you follow the money and you really see what someone believes in. And so also, and right now, that's not what we're seeing. So to her point around a basic allotment plus some of our kiddos who have some other needs that they have, even with the extra, it's not enough. So I know in my district area, we spent about $10,000 to educate a child with special needs, but we don't get anywhere near that from the government, even with the extra. And so it's just the things with funding around, it needs to add up.
Y'all speaking really good, but I got to slow this down because I want someone to hear this. It's someone hearing this and it's moving fast. But if you listen to this, listen what she said. They get $61.60 per child. Whether it's Coldspring School District or a larger school district, they get $61.60 per child. She just said that they spend $10K plus. So there's a $4K differentiation, the different there that got to be overcome. Where does that $4,000 come from?
And so
buy this, don't buy that. Stop purchasing that. Don't have snacks.
We have to prioritize funding, and it's complicated. We have
increase class sizes.
And with the school, like my school, our students, everything is paid for as far as tuition, books. So when you're impacting funding in a negative manner, it's going to impact all the kids that you serve in some way or the other.
your district, not to bring light to a specific district, but your school district is specific, and it's scholarship and is allowing kids to come in and get certain education. And now you got to tell some of those kids they can't come because you don't have the funding to force them to come in.
Not
Am I correct?
necessarily, but that could potentially be an issue in the future.
You won't be able to
Wow.
offer some special programs because you're going to have
Yes.
to prioritize funding.
We don't
Wow.
exactly know where this is going to end up. That's the uncertainty of it all.
So I want to make sure I make highlight to this, and Dr. Talton, I want you to come in on back in this discussion because you're going to know what the immediate impact to our community is going to be. But I want to make some highlights to this. So we're speaking on vouchers, the voucher program. If you haven't heard on the news, it has been now passed. The voucher program is here. This voucher program will allow kids to navigate from a public school. Before in the past, if a child left a public school and they went to a private school, so be it. Their funding, their state funding, their 6160 stayed there, and they would go somewhere else and they had to pay out of pocket to go to a private school. Private schools have the ability to say who can and who can't come to their schools. It's not an open door policy. They get a chance to put limitations. And Dr. Goffney made a good point. They're not going to choose someone who's going to bring their numbers down. Only the strong going to survive in those environments. This is going to be a cream of the crop environment. What happens to that child who does not meet the cut? What happens to that child who's in a school district like Coldspring, who the 6160s are leaving on an already tight budget, and now they're trying to figure out how to overcome that budget. Dr. Mason, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to add, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it changed, while bills are going through, they can change sometimes. But what I remember is that we receive an allotment of $10,000 per student, but the vouchers are $10,000 per student.
We receive 6160 in the basic allotment. And the voucher is going to be 10,000. So they're going to get even more. They're going to get more than what we
Whoa, pump the brakes. So did you just tell me that as a private school, you just made the benefit of me poaching children?
Poaching is good.
Because I'm gonna get more money for this child than the school district would. I'm gonna bring 10K into my education. It's literally single-handedly. Let me just speak out loud. I'm the one here with not a bias to worry about. To single-handedly destroy the school one child at a time.
One child.
And one thing I think it's important to note on that as well, even with the 6160, your average daily attendance is not based upon your enrollment. It's based upon a formula, but that's based upon your average daily attendance. So let's say, for example, our enrollment is 1613. Depending on your 88 percentage, you're not getting that whole amount for those 1,613 students. It could be 1,595. I mean, it depends on your average daily attendance as well. So it's not a guarantee.
So listen, everyone who's listening, we don't want to inflict fear. We want to inflict information. But with this information, at the end of the call, we're going to give you some active, realistic things we can do locally to make sure that we involved in some of the movements that's happening. So don't get to the point where you get paralyzed because you feel as though that I can't believe this happened. I can't believe no, that you're in on the information. You're hearing about it now. We need to know what's happening. And then we need to know what can we do in the meantime and what should we do in the meantime. So we're going to talk about that towards the end. This is a worry I had as a local pastor, a local community member, a local father who came back home to bring my child. Listen to this here. We were going to a larger school district. They were getting many benefits as large school district. And I don't think this voucher program is going to be as detrimental to the larger school districts as it will be to the smaller school districts. I don't think it'd be as detrimental. I think it will impact them. Is it going to be as detrimental to a larger school district as it will be to Coldspring?
It's going to be different, but it's going to be an impact.
Yeah, it's going to be a different type of impact.
We have more
Go
within
ahead.
driving distance of my house, right? Within about 4 miles of my house, I could easily just pick out in my mind 12 to 14 that I just know I see from the road, charters and private schools. Wow. So while, the numbers are the numbers. And so even for us to have hundreds of students leaving our district is very impactful. It does look different in Coldspring, right? Because every single kiddo, counts because the budget is not as huge as a larger district. It looks different around the culture and what it looks like to be a Trojan. to have diversity in your schools, to go to school with people that you may not have known other than the fact that you went to school with them and they're your friends forever. So it will change and look different like that. But it is a significant, it can be a significant problem in our districts as well, just because within 5 miles, there's so much competition with charters and private schools.
Dr. Talton, I got to come to you here. I got to come to you because I think the local viewers are wondering, because I think the one pause button that I hit was, how has this lack of funding that was held back by our, I'm going to say it, governor, due to this whole voucher program, how has it impacted our district directly that you've seen?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing this year, out of the last 2 years, this current year's is the only year we've been on a balanced budget. The last 2 years, we pretty much operated it with a budget deficit. We adopted a budget deficit, deficit budget. So on the other side of that, we've pretty much had to slice down departmental budgets to start the school year, 10%, 20%. But then also just try to make sure that we're being just really very diligent and frugal in terms of travel, just a number of different things as far as what we're doing across the district. So from that standpoint, that's really what's hurt us the most. Just because, as I mentioned earlier, you have your tax rate, but then on the other side of that, you have, and that was the reason why, like I said too, that as y'all know, we went after VATRE to really pretty much try to assist with offsetting budgetary costs and the lack of funding.
You got to explain what that VATRE is, because that's Greek.
Right. So basically, it's a voter approval tax rate election. What it allows the district to do is really tap into additional funding from the state. But the voters have to go out and approve it. If you're going to go above a certain threshold, you also have a maximum compressed tax rate. So in order to do that, you have to have voters go out. And what we did, what hurt us in that was that obviously you had a presidential election that was in there as well. The VATRE voter approval tax rate election can only be done in November. Some stakeholders, now mind you, we had videos and a number of things that we put out to the public to really educate them on it. But some people thought that a VATRE was a bond. And so they're two totally different things. You know, VATRE is pretty much all your maintenance and operations tax. Then a bond is INS, because obviously your new buildings, new facilities, and so on and so forth, modernization. That's all a part of your INS side. But there were some people that thought that a VATRE was a bond. They're two totally different things. So that was one thing that came up. But as we know, with the election and the heightened political climate, there were a lot of people, obviously, that got out to vote. But again, you also have a situation of, raising taxes. And there are a lot of people that know, if they've been watching the news, that money was being withheld. Dr. Mason mentioned the $33 million surplus. And at the same time, on the surplus, they only have to share with us a certain amount. There's more than that.
So is this the amount that's being withheld? Me being a little bit privy to the government and how they do funding, was that all for the education? Was it all education funds?
That's right. So out of that 33 billion or whatever that amount was, you had 4 billion plus was appropriated for Texas public schools that was being withheld.
So we got to listen to everyone who's listening to this call. We're speaking on, when we speak voucher, this is a state initiative. If you go to a school in the state of Texas, a public school, it has things like the STAR test. That's a state initiative. So other states have different things. So it's directly hitting our state. What am I saying? Your vote affects our state. What happens to our school district in our state is not the same across the country. Some things are national. We're going to talk about some national concerns here in a minute, but these are state initiatives. Then watch this here. We do have some local initiatives. Some local initiatives can be affected. You literally, I know it's like when you're voting for president, you feel like you're throwing your rock in this big old ocean that's not going to be felt. But when you vote for school board, it's like throwing a boulder in a pond. You literally have a major impact right then and there, and you have a greater representation at a level that you can make an impact. These things we have control over, but we have to get into a position to where, number one, we're learning what's going on. We're hearing these things like the ADA. We're hearing things like the budget that's been released and the 6160. We need to understand this here, so when we're communicating it to our family members, they are understanding what's happening here. This has been good discussion so far. I hope if you're liking it, please let us know. Share your thoughts, share your comments on this. The more you share, the more you talk, the more you comment, it gets an algorithm, and other people who needs to hear this will get a chance to hear what we're talking about today. So this is some good discussions. Ms. Sykes, Anything you want to add? Because I think that, each one is affected differently. Anything you want to add towards this voucher program and what you've experienced in your school district, not directly, but in your environment or what you're seeing?
I just want to add that people truly need to understand the role and the purpose of the public educator. This is a calling, and when we look at being together and standing as a united front, this is not the time to be divided by politics or things of that nature. Really look at the
That's
role of the
good.
public
That's good.
educator in your community, in your school districts. Um, from teacher to principal to central office staff, superintendents, we're all in this together. And if you truly value that role, you will take the time to do the research, to put in your time to do the homework, and really understand that we should be on the same page to move as a united front, to
I
work
think you're
together to
100%
do what's
correct.
best for kids.
So we have to ask this question before we go on beyond the voucher program, because I do want to deal with the board education and the closure of board education. But I cannot jump out of this discussion without having a little bit of instructions. What can we do from the local community to combat some of the things we may face from this voucher program? What can we do from a local perspective?
I would say number one, make sure that you understand and support the good things that are happening. I served as superintendent in Coldspring from 2008 to 2013, and took almost 10 years for Dr. Talton to come, and the things that he's been doing and that I've been able to read about and keep up with, because we have members of our church who attend, and as I said, I still pay taxes there, and keep up with everything that's happening. Keep up with what's happening, because my biggest fear, I just want to make sure that everyone understands your question from earlier. In the larger cities, there are already private schools that exist today. So as Dr. Mason alluded to, when she drives to her school district, she passes by 10, 12 private or charter schools. So they're already there, prepared to open right now.
Wow.
Do
Were
not.
I got a clue. Do you think, in your opinion, that they were preparing, waiting for the voucher to pass? Okay.
No, not at all. Because in the city, what's going to happen is the majority of the people who receive the vouchers, and this is just me as Latanya Goffney class of 95 talking, just the people who are already there, whose parents are millionaires and billionaires, they're going to just get $10,000 tax break, basically. That's what they're going to get. But what I'm afraid of for Coldspring specifically, because I saw how it happened when I was superintendent in another district, East Texas, when a charter school moved in, and people thought, oh, it's just a small charter school. And it was before I got there. It was a small charter school. It was some people who didn't like what was happening in school. So they got together and they started this small charter school that everybody kind of laughed at. So by the time I got there in 2013, they had lost the more urban district at that time had lost like 1,000 kids. And the impact was great. I'm like, why didn't y'all fight? Why didn't y'all say something? Why didn't y'all do something? Why didn't you meet with that community to decide how can we make sure that our public school stays vibrant? But by then it was too late. And so today that school has almost quadrupled in size.
Wow.
And so my thought, if you have someone who comes in or have a group of people who, for whatever reason, want to be divisive, don't want to grow up in a cohesive community like we grew up in, and they could come and, they may 5 or 10, they could start a subpar school, but it could catch on and have repercussions generation. I mean, it hurt school for a generation, because the idea of $10,000 is significant for someone who wants to, just start a school for their own personal kid, but they use it to maybe paint a negative light on the local public school. And I cleaned that up for me, because I know it's not making sense. I'm trying to.
You said it clear. Yeah. Go ahead, Dr. Mason.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say, like, we're growing, we're educating now. When you speak about all those wonderful educators, Ms. McMillan, Ms. Curry, the Elmores, they were able to lead and be our educators during a time before social media, right? Wow. So if there was an issue, a child had an issue with their teacher, a parent had an issue, they would come to the school, speak to them, or maybe speak to them at the grocery store and resolve it. Currently, we're in a society now where everybody goes to social media first. Not everybody, but a lot of people go to social media first to badmouth the schools. And when you're in a situation now where we're competing, and we don't mind competing. No. We say this all the time. We do not mind in public education competing with charters or private schools. We just need the rules to be set and to have a level playing field. And that's not what's happening. And so we don't mind competing, and we don't mind being held accountable. If we make a mistake, hey, come see us. We need to correct the mistake. But you also have to understand that public education is a brand in a sense. Coldspring High School is a brand. COCISD is a brand. And when you go on social media and you talk bad about the one worst day, that happened, those things for someone moving in the area will say, well, I'm not taking my kids to that school. I'm taking my $10,000 and I'm going to drive my kids to Willis to go to the new private school that opened. And so I would just say that, give like you would any other business, give your educators an opportunity to make good on things, to resolve conflicts, speak positively of, if your kid had a wonderful year with their teacher at the end of the year, highlight that teacher, speak positively about how much your kid grew in their reading levels or grew in their math or how happy they are at school. Because all of those things, I know that sounds small, but when we have a national teacher shortage, and as you heard from Dr. Talton, they're doing all types of things to make sure that Coldspring has the best and the brightest teachers and are able to retain them. All of the power of the tongue, and now it's the typewriter, but it's still the tongue, is so powerful. So that would be the one thing, is like, of course, be engaged. If you hear something, before you go and say, this is what's happening, ask the question about what a VATRE, a voter approved tax rate increase, what it really means. Because one thing, when we're trying to pass a bond, a VATRE, or anything that impacts we want the opportunity to share with you the why, what it will mean, to be very clear. There's nothing to hide. You're either going to say, yes, I want this, or no, I don't. But give your local community, your board, your superintendent, the educators in your community an opportunity to educate you on what it is, and then make the decision that is best for you and your family.
That's good. And
with that being said, Dr. Mason, it's so important to go to the people who are in the trenches. A lot of times we do a lot of talking and we talk around the situation, around the subject, around people. And we really need to go to the source, people who are in this field, doing this every day, who know the ins and outs, who do not mind educating you and sharing with you the need to know about the basics. Like talking to the people who want to tell you, who want to help you, and who know what's going on.
Like the Lady Sykes, like the Dr. Masons and the Dr. Goffneys and the Dr. Talton. I mean, they have open door policies for those who are local and those who somebody in education. My daughter is now in education. Her livelihood is gonna be go ahead and get celebration. I'm so excited. She's graduating next week. A proud graduate.
We're hiring. Let her know we're hiring.
I said I'm gonna let Dr. Talton have first deal.
That's right.
She may be teaching
right.
If she's coming 59 listen, let me know.
Well, stop by New Canaan before you hit that.
No, I said I was going to be good tonight, Dr. Talton. I wasn't proving anybody. We're a TIA designated district. You can make it.
But you know what? She actually lives in the Woodlands right now, so I think everybody's open game. So I'm gonna definitely tell her to give you one of y'all a call. But this is her livelihood now, and she's been wanting to be a teacher since she was in third grade. This is what she told me. Watch this. In public school, a teacher by the name of Miss Smith gave her a chance, and she said at that age, in the third grade, she said, "Daddy, I want to be a teacher so I can help people like Miss Smith help people." Teachers, educators make a difference in the public schools. And I think it's so important to put them in an equal environment to give them equal opportunity. It leads to the next discussion, equal environment, equal opportunity, leading into the board of education closing. But listen to this, before we get there, I got to ask one more question, y'all. I know we got to stop this. This is going to have to end up being a to be continued discussion. But I got to bring up this thought process right quick. I want to make sure we answer this pretty quickly. And Dr. Talton, I want you to answer it. As me, because I gotta admit, I'm gonna be the one to drop off the ship real quick. I don't go to the school board meeting as much because I don't think I hadn't thought that it has been an impact. I thought it was wasting my time. What impact can I have at a school board meeting?
I think the biggest thing in attending the board meeting, I mean, of course, there's some things obviously that y'all know that as a district we post. Student activities, a lot of different things that we have that are going on. But I think a big part of it really at the board meetings is to really get an even closer look at some of the things that are happening across the district. I mean, obviously we've we just became a teacher incentive allotment designated district, which is huge for our teachers. We had 14 teachers that are recognized, and really the teacher incentive allotment program is really designed, really catered towards small school districts like Coldspring. And that allows us to be able to keep those high quality instructors in front of our students. And they can have that high salary without having to become an administrator. And then it's also deemed, let's say, for example, if those that have been designated go to a Aldine or Lamar Consolidated or New Caney, that amount, they still are designated, but that amount won't be the same, right?
Wow. So it locks them in here.
That is correct. Because, for example, our district, Coldspring, is a rural district. Dr. Goffney's district is an urban school district, and then Dr. Mace's district is primarily suburban. So it's different. So that allows them to see those things. We also do student recognition at those meetings as well. We highlight the students that we have across the district. We also highlight just staff members that are doing incredible things and serving our students and staff across the district as well. So it allows them to take a look at those things. We also have been talking about the bond, as I've shared with y'all, as well. So anything that they'll want to actually have a deep, take a deep dive and take a look at, those things are discussed at the board meeting. Then we have departments that give updates. So every single board meeting, there's a respective department, like our health services department. We had in alignment with the Spring Festival, our SHAC committee had their color run. So they're going to be doing an update on the health services department during that meeting as well. So there's some different departments that present. So if you want to find out about something about transportation, we just launched in our district smart tag as well, which is
I think it's awesome. Finally, that's an awesome thing that we
That's
did.
right. So that's been something that's huge for us. So they want to have more information about those things. They can learn about those because those different departments present.
So watch this. Watch this. You get a chance to see your vote, the purpose of your vote. You get a chance to see that person you put in the seat who's speaking for you on your behalf. You get a chance to see the actual outcome of that. So there's a call and respond. You called, I voted, I put somebody in seat, respond, I saw that it was purpose. If you don't go to the meeting, you won't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. You won't know the purpose and even the vote. We got to vote. We got to put people in those seats. We got to put people in there that we feel as though are going to represent our community properly.
And one thing I was going to add on to that, Mr. Martin, was really, and we started looking at bond and planning for that. A big part of that, we've been trying to build that committee up, but we've only averaged, I think, probably 13 people. We've been meeting since pretty much September of 2023. So we just need more involvement, people to actually get plugged in on those different things. And so that's a big piece and a big part of it, because the more people that attend those meetings, we can educate them outside of what they just see on social media. So that's an opportunity to really ask myself questions, to ask architects questions about different designs and so on and so forth. But we don't get enough participation in those. And we have those, as y'all notice, what we try to do is also we were having meetings, recurring meetings, but then also we start streaming those meetings live as well to make sure. And we also send out a survey to see what the community wants as well. So to get some insight with that committee as well. So
listen, I got 3 minutes. I got my wife in my head, babe, stick of time. So y'all, she's fussing at me from 100 miles away. But I got to say this here real quick because I got to get on the board of education. We talked about so far, for those who are on with us, thank you so much for hanging in there and listening. I think that you're showing that you're concerned. I see the numbers kind of being static. That's good. You're concerned. You're hanging in there. We've heard about the voucher program. We heard that we can impact. Dr. Goffney, you said something so profound. You basically let me know I have the power. I can see someone approaching our community, trying to come in and pose an idea. We can stand up because we are aware now what's going on, and we can say no. We can say no. We can say no. We can say no to all the right people, to all the right parties. Like Lady Sykes said, this is not a political thing. This is a personal thing. This is a public education opportunity for our children, and we won't let someone coming in and approaching our community try to what I want to use. I used it earlier, but anyways, you want to take them away from our schools and take them away to a system that we don't know, and then we don't want to take our right to have to figure out if Cold Spring is not viable, where do they go? We don't want to have to go through that. We came to Cold Spring because we want our child to catch a bus. Now we have to figure out how we're going to actually get them to a school that's going to be one that we can support. So I want to bring, if at the end, if there are any last thoughts on any of this, I want to bring this up, but I have to segue into this because we talked about rights and opportunities. We all know as a public have been impacted about the DEI initiatives being taken away. We haven't known how this has affected our local school districts. We talk statewide, state from a perspective from the voucher program, But nationally, we lost the Board of Education. It was closed. It was shut down. And I, once again, just as a lucid thinker, I don't know a lot. I'm just knowing a little, keeping up as much as I can. Understand it's affecting our DEI, even in our school systems. Can y'all speak on that briefly? I'm gonna go to you, Dr. Mason. I want to kind of spread the wealth. What is your thought process on the DEI, and or not the DEI, the closure of board educations?
Yeah, I'll speak on the Department of Education. I think one of the things is the misunderstanding about what the Department of Education at the federal level does, like what their role is in education. I think there's been a lot of miscommunication or misunderstanding about that. People think that the Department of Education decides what is taught to your children. They don't. What tests we take, they don't. What assessments they have, they don't. That is all at the state level. So the idea is that I want my child to be taught certain things because I'm a Texan. You have that right. That's what happens in Texas. That's not the Department of Education. The Department of Education, they really are. They put protective measures up to make sure that if you have a child with special education needs, that they hold us accountable as a district, that if you're going to receive federal funds, you better be educating that child. You better be following that IEP. You better make sure that kid has everything that we agreed on that they're supposed to have. They monitor that all subgroups, all races, all economic groups, everyone, there's a certain level of whatever your test is in your state, that those students need to be performing as well, that you can't, no child, left behind or whatever you want to call it, but that no group is being left behind in a school. So they really kind of keep us on our toes around making sure that, yeah, you can have a campus that 90% of the kids are passing the STAR test, but they sometimes look at, okay, but are all of your kids that are special education, are they doing well? Are your kids that maybe English language learners, are they doing well? Or your kids that may be African American or free and reduced lunch, are they doing well? So they don't tell us what to teach, how to test it. And so that's what I'll speak on. It's really a protection for the parent, if you ask me, a protection for the parent and the student.
So watch this. So public schools, even though I'm not, somebody may judge me, but I don't care. Well, I'm gonna keep my thought to myself on that point. But even though it's not political, public schools give you a voice because it has hands in there. Your vote is part of the lever that kind of control things. Private schools is controlled by a chosen board of a private school, and you have very little say. It may seem popular to throw your child there, but someone else is making all the decisions, and you may be taken into consideration, but no one is mandating a govern. You think about government, it's a govern, something's governed, something has a mandate to it. It's telling you have limits. There's no limits there. If you don't like it, you got to find another one. You don't like it, you got to find another one. You don't like it, you got to find another one. Here, if you don't like it, you go say something about it. You speak up. You make a decision. People got to listen. People got to hear it. Anything, Dr. Goffney or Lady Sykes, did you want to share on a little bit about the closure of board education? I'm gonna come to Dr. Talton last. Dr. Goffney, you want to share anything about the closure of board educations?
I would just reiterate what Dr. Mason just alluded to. Basically, the Department of Education closing, per se, they're pushing everything to the state. And here we just have to be mindful of who we vote for, especially considering the predicament we're in now with vouchers at our state level. And so if they push everything to the state, we just got to make sure that the freedom that we enjoy with public education now, that we continue to enjoy, because our voices can be heard. And so it's an interesting time. And so just making sure that everyone stays involved so that we can continue to deliver on the promise of a public education. And I would hate to see what I tell everybody across this country was so important to me. I want every kid, every community to have what I had when I was in Coldspring. It didn't matter that I was poor, didn't matter that my grandparents couldn't be present as much. I had great teachers who loved me, encouraged me, inspired me. And so we've got to continue to protect that. And the only way we can protect that is to get informed and to become present at Dr. Talton's event so that you can be supportive and keep public education strong in Cold Spring.
Wow, man, great said, powerfully said. Lady Sykes, would you like to share anything, even just to sum up the whole discussion?
I just agree with everything those two ladies just shared. It is so important. I was thinking back to even my summers being a student in Cold Spring. Miss Lulu Blanks drove the Books on Wheels, and that was just an instrumental part of my summers, like
Oh my
something
gosh,
so
I loved
simple.
it.
Yes. But again, that took funding, that took money just to make the school bus go from stop to stop. So just be mindful of what's going on. Do your research. Don't assume. Don't judge. Get into the trenches and talk to the people who are dealing with this every day. Ask those critical questions, and then make sure that you have the necessary conversations with the people who are going to make these decisions, who are going to look out for what's best for this district and know that they care. They're not just doing it because they have to, they're doing it because they were called to do so.
That's
This is
it.
important to them.
And I know we're going to probably end with Dr. Talton, so I want to just jump in really quick. It's
Please.
also because I don't want it to seem like it's this passive thing, meaning that, oh, well, how did you vote? Then I'm going to see how I vote. So yeah, but it's also a very active, like you and your policymaker, your congressman, your senators, your school board members. It should be this constant communication around, like, here are the issues that are coming up, here are the bills that are coming up, here is what means something to me. So I'm a constituent of, said congressman or whatever. Here's how I would like to see you vote, because in our community, this is what matters. And so when I meet with legislators, what they say all the time is that if you're not saying anything, they're hearing the loud squeaky wheels.
Yes.
So it's not a party thing. It's not, this party versus that. It's not that at all. It's this bill, this policy versus what I want. And so you need to be speaking to those things so that they vote in the best interest of your community.
That's good. That's good.
Exactly.
Listen, like I say, I think the greatest thing that I can even put into words is that when you vote for the school board, you're actually playing chess, not checkers. You literally, I mean, you make an impact versus everything else. You leaving, too much to chance when you don't vote for school board and put people in the seat that speaks for your demographics, your heart, your passion. We need to become more involved. Dr. Talton, I got you last because there's some questions that came across, and I think only you can answer it. So the question was here by one of the local pastors, Pastor Jocelyn. She says, "How is the word getting out about the bond?" It's ironic she asked the question because I was going to ask the question also. How's the word getting out about people in positions and the things you need? People coming to those meetings about the different things that they're talking about. So yeah, that's a good question, Dr. Goffney.
Yeah,
Jocelyn, Darden.
Yeah, it's a great question. Right now, a recommendation was made to the board. So basically, the Facilities Assessment Committee chair made a recommendation to the board at the March board meeting. So the board has to then take that information and then actually call for a bond election. Our bond will be the bond we're going for. Obviously, you can do it in May or you're doing it in November. We didn't meet the deadline because there was still some conversations that was still going on. So our bond proposal, once the board basically takes action to pursue a bond, that's going to be for November. And then from there, it'll be boots on the ground. We'll go out in the community. We'll have information on the website. We'll send on postcards. We'll do all of those things. And we'll still continue to engage. And then also for Pastor Jocelyn as well, we'll have a bond planning committee. We'll have people that we'll seek out in the community actually serve on that committee. That way they can be very, very hands-on with the bond project.
Gotcha. I definitely want to be involved, and also I just let you know. I open up my. We have a video. I guess announcement of our church. If you get a video literature put together, I would love to throw it on our announcements. Towards the end of announcements. Hey, play it. I don't make a decision for anyone, but if I can bring the information to them, I definitely bring it to them.
And I would say this too, Bishop Harden, we will actually come as well. I actually come to the church and share. That way, if any questions need to be answered, I can answer those questions as well. So I'll definitely be in contact with you on
Just
that.
anytime you have anything going on, and I open doors, and I would make sure I put the word out. And we have a lot of people who choose to stay home a lot of time and watch service online. I say, come in the place you can ask questions, and so we will let them know ahead of time. Another question came in for you. Also, it says some Title III funding. I don't know exactly the direction of this question, but anyone can speak to this.
I think anything as far as title funding, those that ties back to the U.S. Department of Ed. And so basically, what they're wanting to do is funnel all of that back down to the states. But at the same time, at the federal level, there are lots of departments. I'm saying there's a really big research department. So when we look at academic accountability from the state, you have domain 3, which is closing the gaps, and that's all of your federal accountability. That's how did our SPED students perform? How did our English language learners perform? But then also looks at sub-pops. How do your sub-pops perform amongst one another? That's all domain 3. But anything that will be titled, what they're doing is they want to funnel that down and let the state tackle those things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, this has been powerful. Dr. Talton, I got to leave with you opportunity to just kind of say any last words to the public. I want to say, first of all, thank you all. This has been magical. Whenever I thought about it, I said, there's no way in a million years they're going to say, yeah. And I didn't just get 1 yeah. I didn't get 2. I didn't get 3. I got all 4 yeses. Yeah, I don't know how much it made me feel special. I'm gonna just go play the lottery now. I feel like I'm lucky. But I thank y'all so much for doing this. I don't speak lightly on this. I really mean it. And people who know me know I don't like to lie. I'm truthful. I really am so happy that y'all said yes to our community, to this live. Dr. Talton, any last statements you want to say to our community?
No, I just want to thank you, Bishop Harden, like I said, for providing all of us the opportunity. And like I said, I'm just blessed to serve our school community. This is my life's work. Like I said, I'm just passionate about serving wherever God puts me, and God has put me in Coldspring. So I'm just blessed to be here. We have a lot of great things going across the district. A lot of great things happening for kids, and that's what I'm here for. But the most important thing for me is I have an open door policy. There's people that have my number. Mr. Harden, you and I have connected many, many years ago from us getting together and praying at all of our schools before the school year starts, and always been accessible. I connect with everybody. So the biggest thing for me is get engaged, stay informed. If there's a question, a concern, I know we touched on this, let us know. We're here to serve, but we can't address things we don't know.
Yeah. So, I'm a testament of the fact that the trunk or treat blew my mind, the amount of people that showed up. We've been coming up pretty soon. We're finna come in and do a fair, a job fair. Come up and do that pretty soon. I'm really excited about that. We got 2 booths for that. I'm seeing a lot of engagement. I'm seeing more movement that I've seen in a long time in our district. I come from a larger school district. The badges, I got to speak towards the ID badges. That's a safety thing. Smart tags. Children were able to get off the bus anywhere, anytime. Now they have accountability. You know exactly when that child got off the bus. You know where they went. And listen, this smart tag system is not cheap. This something had come with a price tag. But Coldspring found a way to finance it, fund it for the safety of our children. Listen, I'm not a political person by no means. I'm a people person. And when the problem solves a problem to help people, I'm all for it. I'm all there. I think politics give me a chance to choose a side. I don't choose a left or right. I choose a right. Always right. So I'm really excited about that. Listen, if you want to hear about more initiatives that's going on in our district, do me a favor, go to the school board meeting. You're going to see me there. I got my administrator. She's literally putting in my calendar, and I can't say I'm gonna come to everyone because I'm traveling a lot, but when I can, I will be there. And I want you to do me a challenge. Meet me there. Find me there. Let me know if I wasn't there, what talked about. Let's get more involved. Thank y'all so much. Y'all don't know how valuable, once again, this was. Listen, the number stays static. We had people was on throughout the whole time. I saw my stepmom on, let me know how great it was. I see others on, Emmett Eldridge, a couple other ones. Pastor Johnson, thank y'all for joining. Share the word, share the message. So listen, thank y'all so much. The other ones are jumping on. Y'all, this is amazing. Keep up what y'all doing. You're making a difference. I think at the end, God always prevails. That's just who I am. And you know your heart is in the right place. You started this journey for a reason. We will get the victory, but we also need to get the information out there. And thank y'all for helping me do it. So y'all hang on. But for those who own, God bless you. Share this message. And if you want other topics to be talked about, feel free to send them in to us. Let us know. We'll bring them up. God bless y'all. Be blessed.
Yay. Awesome.